My name is Grady Jennings with Dignity Group. We are a nonprofit organization dedicated to really trying to help families get through the maze of our special needs world that we're all living in. And I want to thank the people that are going to be speaking today. Carol from the Executive Director, gee, mini Christmas, I can't talk. I could talk earlier, I just can't talk now. But I want to thank Carol Fitzgibbons from coming in from Executive Director from Regional Center, Inland Regional Center, Bob McGuire from Pathways, beautiful people, Karen Jones from PVW. A little bit later, Pat Prue will be showing up, the brother of a special needs brother, and Forrest Wolf, who does a lot of special needs planning, and then you may have the luxury of listening to me talk for a long period of time. We promise to let you home by tomorrow, so there's plenty of food, so if we don't finish it, we'll have dinner here tonight, and we'll have breakfast again tomorrow morning. This is the first type of a conference. I've done many speaking seminars over the years. This is the first conference that we've put on to this effect, and again, coming through the experiences and where it all started, started in 1990 when my son James was born with Down syndrome, and those of us in the room, we've gone through a lot of different things. I was fortunate, depending on your perspective, that my situation showed up right away at birth, and when I saw James and he came out blue, I thought that was why boys got blue cigars and girls got pink cigars. I didn't realize that blue represented a very serious problem. But again, completely foreign world. The world changed. And how many of us, let me ask you, how many of us are dealing with children in the room that are under the age of 18? And how many of us are here with representing children over the age of 18? Okay, cool. What's interesting is that, I don't know how many of you kind of knew there was a problem the minute our children were born as opposed to growing into the problem? Okay. Do you remember how much poetry we got in the very beginning from well-meaning people that talked to us about the trip to Holland, the changes in our lives? And what's interesting is that today, in my local newspaper, and I remember that trip to Holland, and when my son James passed away a few years back, my sister had that poem framed for me. But in today's newspaper, it's amazing how things just show up. But it was a Dear Annie, and the title was Heaven's Very Special Child. And I just thought how appropriate it was, but this was a poem written by a lady in 1956. A meeting was held quite far from earth. It's time again for another birth, said the angels to the Lord above. This special child will need much love. Her progress may seem very slow. Accomplishments she may not show. And she'll require extra care from all the folks she meets down here. She may not run or laugh or play. Her thoughts may seem quite far away. In many ways she won't adapt, and she'll be known as handicapped. So let's be careful where she's sent. We want her life to be content. Please, Lord, find the right parents who will do this special job for you. They will not realize right away the leading role that they're asked to play. But with this child sent from above comes stronger faith and richer love. And soon they'll know the privilege given in caring for this gift from heaven, their precious charge so meek and mild. It was interesting, the lady who wrote the letter had been given it to her when she was a young lady, and when she was 15, 16 years old. Later on, she gave birth to a child with Down syndrome, and in her final words prior to this poem, she says, when my third son was born with Down syndrome, he shook, rattled, and rolled our world. I had never worked with children with special needs. I was extremely hurt, angry, and all the emotions attached to grief. I remembered this particular poem, and amazingly found it at my parents' house in the first box I opened. My son is now 20 years old and has just graduated from high school. Yes, we've had trials, challenges, and sadness, but we've also had miracles and pure joy. And isn't that true? We look at all the different things that come around us, the different situations, the alphabet soups we start to learn, the agencies involved. The first time my wife said something about a support group, I have to admit, it's like my mind was what a preconceived notion of what a support group was. To realize that the blessing of all of those things and how all of our minds have been shaped and changed over the course of time. And I know the views that I had when James was first born, to the views I had when he was 4 years old, to when he was 12. And I can remember Joanne telling me that, if I'd known it was going to be this stressful at 12, I wouldn't have stressed so much when he was 2. Now, how many of us really believe that statement? So what I have found through the course of this is that a lot of times we as parents are lost, we're confused, and there's a lot of different agencies we have to deal with. There's a lot of different situations that could go on, especially as our children start to age, and the roles that schools play in our early years, just the different things that come across the way, whether we're dealing with medical issues, whether we're dealing with medical issues in schooling. And again, for me, I know that after my wife had passed away in 2006, the safety that I felt knowing that a regional center was going to be an organization or an agency that was going to be my safety net for my son, regardless of what may or may not happen to me along the way. And the different organizations that I've been very greatly blessed to be associated with, in the number of times that Bob and I talked about different ideas of what the tomorrows are going to look like, to Karen helping me with what it'll look like for work worlds down the road. And so it's with this that, you know, we have a lot of different pieces, and you know, when you start bringing a child into the world with special needs, and it's not that our problems are any different than any other issues that other families face, but our path is different. We're all of a sudden having to learn in a non-traditional way, in a non-traditional manner. And when we start taking a look at dealing with Social Security, in-home support service, Medi-Cal, regional center, school, IEPs, IFPs, come on, it's a lot.